On this week's episode of Nintendo Noise, we're talking about the 15 greatest Nintendo Switch games of all time, according to us. What's up, Internet? You're tuning in episode 186 of Nintendo Noise, Slipscreen Games' weekly Nintendo podcast. I'm your host, Pete and Bessie, joined today by my very good friends and co-hosts, Miss Sierra Plus Ultra.
Hey.
Mr. Ken Hicks.
What it do, dog?
And Waluigi.
What's up?
All right, listen, if you're an audio listener, I'm probably giving this more of a laugh than it deserves, but you got to go look at Jack's dumbass face on YouTube for the full effect. We'll post a photo on socials or whatever too if you want to go look over there. But you got to get a look at what this man looks like. He's dressed up for the occasion because we have a very special episode of Nintendo Noise this week. I got the crew together so that we could do a little send off for the Nintendo Switch. Right, we are just 1 week away. The next time we sit down to record Nintendo Noise, we will all have Nintendo Switch 2 in our hands, and it'll be a brand new era for the show. So we thought it would be a fun way to wrap up the generation of our favorite Nintendo console thus far by jumping into some of our favorite games on the console. So we did this the way we've done most of our top lists in the past. I had each one of my four panelists today make a top 25 list of Nintendo Switch games. Didn't have to be exclusives, just our favorite games on the console. And then I went and compiled that list and gave us a top 15, which we'll jump into now. And I'll start us off with number 15 with 22 points. Octopath Traveler.
Hey, glad it made the list.
I was definitely surprised to see this one squeak through. And I'll tell you what, Jack, you and I, between the two of us, 1 point away from getting ARMS in at number 15.
Oh,
We were right there. We were right there, baby.
come on.
But yeah, so
Pete,
let's.
have you played Octopath Traveler? I remember when it came out, I was stoked on it. It was a little less on your radar. Did you ever get around to giving it a go?
I gave it a go. I enjoyed it a lot at the beginning and then fell off. I think like I got a little bit burnt out on the playing through 8 different intros, you know? I hit a point where I was kind of like, I really was enjoying the combat, but like the pace of the story felt so off to me because I had already sunk like, you know, however many hours in, and I was still at the very beginning of the narrative. But I really loved the aesthetic of it, and like the soundtrack was out of this world. I listened to the soundtrack more than I played the game, I think.
Yeah, I also have it on my video games playlist, my video game music playlist, and like all like the break themes come up like while I'm just like driving my morning commute or like going to get coffee like all the time. Excellent music. I love it.
So I haven't played this one yet. It's been on my radar. I just never got around to it. Is it the type of game to fill the hole that Claire Obscure has left me with?
I mean,
I don't
like a
think
turn-
that
it's a
hole's
turn-based
going to
RPG.
be filled anytime soon, but
yeah,
for me,
it's a good turn-based game, but I don't think it's that good.
as not a super big JRPG person at all, it made my list because I think it's just like turn-based JRPGs in their simplest, most like wholesome format.
Yeah.
It's a very like standard formula, and it's a very simple joy of like leveling up, finding a new area, exploring, finding like optional dungeons, that sort of stuff. Like it's nothing you haven't experienced. It's just very boiled down to like the core of the experience, and I really appreciated it for that.
Yeah, I think it's like super highly executed. Yeah, so like if you're somebody who's I think into turn-based games, like there's a lot that it has to offer. But I think to your point, like I think even if you're not, it's just such a pleasing package, you know, that I think if you can get into the rhythm of the combat, like yeah, there's something there.
I like for me it was a bowl of mac and cheese on like a rainy day. It didn't do anything better than like other games that excel in the genre have done. It's just very simple fun.
The art rocks too.
Yeah, the art
Yeah.
style, obviously, if it speaks to you, there's some beautiful stuff in that game.
Yeah,
and
that was
its
like the
sequel.
first of that like 2D HD style, right?
Yeah, like the tilt
Yeah.
shift, pixelated.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
like it's Super Nintendo art, but with like modern like lighting, which is like a very interesting like way that it
Which-
blends those vibes.
I
too.
mean, it makes more of an impactful difference than you think. That game is gorgeous.
yeah, I mean, it definitely like established a vibe. Like, right, there's been how many games now that have like aped that style to some degree since it came out.
Mhm.
I think it's cool that it made the list too, because it was, I think, one of the earlier exclusives on the console that wasn't a Nintendo developed game that really made an impact.
Let me see. When did this game come out? 2017.
Yeah, it's
Jeez,
early days.
That's
Yeah.
that's OG.
I was about
actually.
to. I was gonna say. I think it's the only non-Nintendo indie that made my list, but it's not. It was published by Square, so
Yeah.
strike that comment.
Indie in spirit, for sure.
Indian spirit, yeah.
Speaking of which, that's a good transition into our number 14, which was Tetris 99.
Wow, I thought this would be higher. Not for nothing.
I think
Because-
you and I were the only ones who had it on our lists.
Really,
Yeah.
really, that is shocking.
I really loved this game. I had a period where I was like deep into Tetris 99.
Yo, I remember back in high school, our school computers kind of blocked all the gaming websites except for Tetris. So we just got really, really, really competitive in Tetris. And then I had no outlet for years once I graduated. Then lo and behold, Tetris 99, we back, baby. And the different updates they've had over the years, the fact that it's free with a Nintendo Online subscription, it's just like, you know, if you want to play Tetris, but you don't want to just play Tetris, you play Tetris 99 or Tetris Effect. I think those three kind of complete the
Yeah.
Tetris trio between like the OG
Mhm.
Tetris, in my opinion. Like that, if you could only play 3 Tetris games for the rest of your life, it should be those 3. Or maybe not Tetris 99, because eventually the service will go down. Hence, it's the state of the gaming industry in 2025 and in the future. But I digress. That's not the point. It's a ball. It's a banger. It's a banger.
I think with that, the thing about it that really like stood out to me the most at the time, because like you, like I'm a big Tetris guy. I've always really enjoyed playing Tetris, and it's like it's one of the like forever games for me. Like if I'm in like a really like if I'm feeling anxious or if I'm like in the mood to play something but like nothing's really hitting, like I'll boot up Tetris and just like scrub my brain clean a little bit. And I find it very like calming in that way. Tetris 99 is the exact opposite of that, and I think it's so cool the way that they took like, you know, undeniably one of the most classic formulas in gaming, and then we're like, how do we do a play on the battle royale thing that's like was still kind of new at that point, like it was still popping off, and
I
like,
just looked it up. It came out in 2019. Like that's
I guess not new then, but earlier in the
well, 6 years ago. Like
Yeah.
what was Fortnite like 6 years ago? Think
much
about that,
earlier
like-
in the trend than now.
Yeah.
And it felt subversive, right? That like we had seen a lot of people do battle royale, but this is obviously nobody was expecting like a puzzle game to take that approach, let alone Tetris. And yeah, it's a game that has definitely fallen out of rotation for me in the more recent years, but there was a long period where I played it a lot, and it's definitely like the game I associate with Nintendo Switch Online.
No, for sure, for sure. And it's also only on the Switch, so that's the other thing. They could have very easily made this multi-platform, but they didn't. So like that makes it like an iconic Switch game, even if it's only 14. It's iconic.
Yeah.
Point blank.
I agree
That's all
with
I got.
Totally.
Was it remind me what the timeline was? Was Tetris 99 kind of the first of that familiar retro game like spun into a battle royale format?
Yeah.
Because I know Nintendo had a couple. Did those come after?
Yeah, it was
They had
Tetris,
F-Zero
and
and I forget the first one.
then it was Tetris, Pac-Man, Mario 35, and then, or maybe Mario, then
F-Zero.
Pac-Man, and then F-Zero. Yeah,
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, I missed that whole wave.
Same.
To me, Tetris 99 until like I think about it and go, oh, duh, Nintendo didn't make that. like to me it's a Nintendo game in that it like represents their approach to like taking popular trends and doing head scratching things with them that sometimes end up brilliant.
Yeah.
So I think it was a very natural fit for the Nintendo Switch in that way, and obviously inspired Nintendo to follow suit. So
I think
missed it.
all
I
those
regret
games are
missing
pretty
it,
fun
but
too.
yeah,
You know?
just a really cool idea.
Yeah, definitely. The fact that both of you like haven't messed around with either of them. If you find yourself with like, if you just want to like get your hands busy while you're like, watching an old favorite or something like that, you like want like just something arcadey to like kind of like kill some time, I would definitely boot it up, kick the tires on it. It's a lot of fun.
It's a shame you can never play Super Mario Bros. 35, but we're not going to go down that rabbit hole. We don't got time for that.
That's utterly bizarre to me, really. Nobody must have been playing it, I guess, but whatever. Bring it back.
No, they made it a limited time thing, just like they got rid of like the
oh
Super
yeah, they
Mario
announced it was
collection.
going to be limited from the rip. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's
weird.
what got me.
Weird.
But once again, we got to stay focused. We got to lock in.
Yeah, we can do an episode about
Yeah.
all the biggest mistakes of the Nintendo Switch
Yeah,
later.
I love
remember
that.
those head scratching decisions I just referenced, Ken?
Oh my god, all of you got
Definitely
so
love them.
excited. You're like, yeah, no, let's do it. Let's make some tea.
Yeah, I got some beef with Nintendo Daddy.
Fair enough, folks. So number 13 is Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury.
Mm.
This is one I have a lot of fond memories of, like both sides of it. Like the Bowser's Fury, I think is the Nintendo Switch half of it that I like think of more. Obviously, the other half was like a re-release, but. Sarah, do you remember that like stream that we did? It was like you, me, Steve, and AJ from Redirect, and like just like cheesing through all those speed levels because of
Oh my
the,
god, yeah.
like Wi-Fi and stuff. Like it was just so much fun.
It was fucking chaos. But that's like a lot of my games that like made my list are not because they were critically acclaimed, but because of the memories I have. Yeah, that's a game that I think fondly back on, especially like getting into streaming and like and games in a serious capacity and stuff. Cause like that was such a specific memory. I had so much fun. And yeah, like that I haven't gone back to that game since because it was more fun with you guys.
Yeah, like once I wasn't like I started doing a single player run through after we had done that, and I was like, it's just not as much fun without somebody
Right.
trying to kick me off the stage. I gotta
Yeah.
I gotta find some friends to become belligerent and fight me the whole time.
Yeah,
Well, the good
I'm,
news
Just drag each
I'm-
other off platforms.
I'm surprised, but I'm so stoked that this made the list. And I'm stoked to hear that like that wasn't just my experience. It feels like it's a Mario game that flies under the radar, especially on the
Yeah.
Switch. There were so many great ones, right? And to me, 3D World is not the best Mario game at all. It's like the theme is kind of confusing. It's neither a 2D nor a 3D Mario game. Somewhere in between. It's kind of an oddball. But I like truly don't know if I've ever laughed more playing a game with a friend than I did in that game. Like start to finish the entire time. It's an absolute mess, but it's so much fun.
I
Yeah.
think it is the one of that style of Mario game that I like the most. Like it because like that kind of kicked off with what the new Super Mario Bros. Wii was like the first multiplayer one. And that's the first memory I have of doing the like I'm playing with 3 other friends and we're all like jumping off each other's heads and picking each other up and throwing them off the level and just like
Yeah, but that to me is like chaos in an aggravating way.
right. And I'm with you. I think this is like they dialed
Yeah,
it in
this-
and you're like it's just fun.
And I'm not even sure it was designed for co-op. Like it's perfectly good single player experience. It doesn't read like this was built for multiplayer, but it just I don't know. It had some special sauce that made it absolutely hilarious and also feel like really natural to play with. 4 is a lot of people, but like 1 or 2 friends,
Yeah.
very good time.
And I mean the Bowser's Fury of it all is also like I think that was just such a cool thing. It's a very like not AAA approach to a release to be like we're re-releasing this game from the Wii U and it has this like random like small campaign that is very much a new game, and not only a new game, like an entire new style of Mario game. And like we're gonna just release it as like a free pack-in to like test the water. It's just such an interesting package of a game, and both sides of it are really fun.
Yeah, the whole SKU was bizarre, but game is a blast.
All I'm saying is that Bowser's Fury walked so Sonic Shadow Generations can run. Because the whole extra Shadow campaign in that one, and it objectively slaps, and it's the best thing Sonic has done in years. So same
That's your last
energy.
handbrake of the episode, Ken. Yeah. So
I'm just saying, I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong.
Listen, you handbrake me again, I'm gonna make you stream all of Shadow the Hedgehog.
He's not correct, but he's not wrong.
Listen, I'll do it again. When I was a kid, I got every ending in Shadow the Hedgehog for the GameCube. You think I'm joking? I got Super Shadow in that game. Don't test me. I'll do it again.
I'm ready. All right, number 12, Tears of the Kingdom. I could not believe how low this ended up.
Yeah, man. Great, like amazing game. It's a list of the 15 best games on like arguably the best Nintendo console ever. But yeah, it was toward the bottom of my list. Nothing wrong with the game. It was just Breath of the Wild came first. We all experienced that. A lot of the WoW came from that engine. Second time around, they did some really cool stuff, but it was late in the life cycle and just didn't do the same things for me. Loved it, put like over 100 hours into it. But yeah,
it's like
the bottom of my best of list personally.
Yeah, it's like the difference between which game is objectively better. You know, probably Tears of the Kingdom. Which one was more impactful on you, and do you have fonder memories of, and that you have like a closer relationship with? Breath of the Wild. Like that was just the idea of having a portable AAA game console in your hand on the go when the Switch first came out was an incredible feeling, right?
Yeah.
Along with all the other cool knickknacks that it could do there too. And then on top of that, getting one of the best Zelda games of all time, if not the best Zelda game of all time at that exact moment in time. No offense, Ocarina of Time, but like, you know, you have not aged as well as you should have. And Majora's Mask is better, but I digress. I'm just saying, Majora's Mask is the better of the two games. People just sleep on it, but I digress.
I'm revealing my Majora's Mask tattoo for the audio listener.
But, you know, it definitely deserves to be up there. Due to the way that we got the list together, it makes sense of where falls where it went. This is our opinion. If you don't agree with it, you can argue with the wall.
You make your own list.
That's all I'm saying. Make your own list. Yeah, and then we can dissect that.
Yeah, no, it's funny because like I think those are all the exact reasons why, right? And it's interesting to me that like I think closer to release of Tears of the Kingdom, I was like, and I still feel this way. I do think it's probably the better of the two games. But like now that we're at the end of the generation and we're like waxing philosophic about like the, you know, best games on the console, it's like, yeah, I mean, Breath of the Wild definitely looms a lot more in my memory because it was the first game that I played on the console, and, you know, I just had a longer relationship with it, you know?
Yeah, and Tears of the Kingdom, the one thing I'll say is a shame that it's not higher on the list, is it had an incredible video game story, period.
Yeah.
Like in ways that I never thought that I would see from a Nintendo game at 30 years old, whatever I was at the time when it came out.
Definitely the most emotional Nintendo games ever made me.
Yeah, so that's a bit of a bummer that kind of got a little under-recognized just because of how late in the life cycle it came out.
Yeah, sophomore effort, right? Like there's always that, like, you're comparing it to something that was unexpected, right?
Right.
So,
yeah, I just think I mean, the sales probably support this, right? A lot of people missed it. Like, missed out on the game, didn't pick it up either.
Compared
to know it.
Well, I mean, I think it's still the second or third most.
I mean, like, the hardcore Nintendo fans, but the more casual. I know I have a lot of casual friends who played Breath of the Wild to death and never picked up Tears of the Kingdom.
I definitely know many people that do fit that criteria. That's true. The
Yeah.
attachment rate for Breath of the Wild was like out of this world. There was like that brief
Yeah,
period where there were more copies sold than there were like Nintendo Switches available.
I'm not calling it this like little gem hidden in the haystack. I know it sold millions and millions of
Yeah.
copies, but
Yeah, so I just looked it up. Breath of the Wild is the 4th best-selling Switch game of all time. Tears of the Kingdom is the 8th. So they both cracked the top 10 with just nothing.
I mean,
to
you also
stop
think
it.
that Tears of the Kingdom has existed for like way less time too. So that also, I'm sure, like there's, Breath of the
Yeah.
Wild has had the ability to sell for 8 years by now, right? So that's
yeah. And I mean, I guess there's opportunity for it to kind of have a second life on the Switch too, right?
that's true. Yeah.
Those folks that did miss
Very
it,
true.
it's getting like a full proper upgrade. So
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people that didn't play it at launch maybe pick it up on Switch too, because there isn't another big single player experience.
yeah, for sure.
I'm thinking about playing it again. Either way, one of my favorite games of all time for sure. Glad I made the list. Number 11, Super Mario Brothers Wonder. Beat Tears of the Kingdom by 1 point.
It's not on my list.
Did you ever play this one,
Understandable.
Sierra?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think you got around to it.
No.
I liked it a lot. I think like when we did our initial coverage of it, like I had a few comments about it that I think, I don't know. I think it's like because I was like, it was the only negative thing I had to say. I feel like people maybe zeroed in on that and thought I didn't like it as much as I did. But I my only like critique of Wonder is that I think it feels a little grab baggy. Like it feels a little bit like it's about throwing ideas at the wall. And I wish that some of the ideas that it introduces that I like had a little bit more room to breathe. And like that they had more opportunity to iterate on some of the good ideas for like 2 or 3 levels at a time, rather than like this is the level where you get that gimmick and it happens like once. But aside from that, it I think was like definitely the shot in the arm that 2D Mario needed. Like I think the new Super Mario Brothers franchise like definitely has some good entries, but it definitely also felt old and dated, and like I think everybody was ready for a refresh and something that felt new and more unique. And I think Wonder definitely succeeds in all of those in like a big way.
Yeah, I remember when it came out, you and I were like texting a little bit, just like sharing initial impressions of it. And I agree, and agreed at the time and still agree, that there's so many ideas. And sometimes you get one that's like, oh my God, that's genius. And then it's gone in 20 seconds and you never see it again in your life. Like it's out the window. So that was a little bit of a bummer, but it was higher on my list. I think I had it like 7th or so. And it's just because I was so ready for something new with 2D Mario.
Yeah.
To me, it's not to, speak down on the series. For me, it's been the same formula more or less for as long as I can remember, especially since that Wii era.
Yeah.
It felt like we still hadn't received like a proper sequel to the 2D series. And Wonder was just for me a much needed breath of fresh air. It wasn't the most like organized thing. I agree. It was a little like disorienting almost with the amount of ideas they throw at you per minute. But I appreciated the willingness to do something different with it so much that it ended up being pretty high on my list at the end of the life cycle.
Nintendo really said we have to throw so many ideas because the kids these days, they have that TikTok brain. You gotta keep it moving. You gotta keep it moving, baby.
Now, to be
Us
honest,
old
like,
parts, we just don't get it. But these young buck.
I feel like I feel kind of similarly about Odyssey, and that might be a hot take, but I loved Odyssey, but I feel like it kind of suffered from the same problem, and for me, not to the same level. I
Okay.
know what I'm saying.
That's
I understand.
fair enough.
I think to a lesser extent, it didn't feel as cohesive as a Mario game to me, but I don't know. The ideas were so like original that I was willing to forgive them. I had a blast with both of those games. Obviously, for more obvious reasons, because it was a more fleshed out experience. But
I'll save my thoughts on Odyssey until we get to Odyssey.
my point,
Because it's in the
my
top
point
10.
there being,
Spoiler.
I think
Spoilers.
it was a very much needed breath of fresh air for Mario across the board. On
Yeah,
Switch. That's
definitely.
my only point.
And I it has me excited about what a sequel looks like, because I think that there are so many ideas there that I wouldn't be surprised if a Wonder 2 or if they don't choose to do a Wonder 2 would maybe be drilling down on some of those things more rather than just like introducing more ideas, because they introduced so many ideas.
There are like 560 fully fleshed out sequel ideas within Mario Wonder.
Yeah.
They can pick any one of them, and they have like a fun original game that they can make. So I agree. I hope the next one's a little more reeled in, but I love seeing them just go absolutely bonkers with it and see what works and not care if something doesn't work. Throw it in there anyway. We'll let people decide what's fun.
All right, let's do number 10 is Hades.
Ooh.
So
Oh.
this was one that only appeared on 2 lists. Both Jack and Ken voted for it, and they put it so high that it forced its way into the top 10, which is awesome. Very cool.
Yo, listen, Hades is, on my personal opinion, my personal top 10 games of all time. When it first came out, I believe it was Steam Early Access, but the first console, because I don't really play games on my PC that often, I'm not going to lie, but the first console that it came out on was the Nintendo Switch, right?
Mhm.
And then eventually got released elsewhere. I put so many hours into Hades, and like, I'm no stranger to roguelikes, but between the story and the gameplay and just like the loop and like the different secrets and the way you can choose to power up your character, and it's just so satisfying. It just gives you that one more run mentality. Or what if I try this combination of different Greek powers? And it's just like the perfect game to bring on a road trip. And I am incredibly excited for Hades 2. Yes, I know I can play Hades 2 right now on Steam Early Access, but I won't out of principle. And I'll leave it at that. Yeah.
You got to play it on Nintendo Switch too. It's only right.
Gotta play it on Switch too, and it should come out this year. It's been in early access for a little over a year. They've been working on it for a bit. Looking forward to it. And not for nothing, every single thing that studio has ever made has been absolute bangers. And this is the first sequel they've ever done. So I'm incredibly, incredibly excited for it. I just, I don't want to play it in front of my PC or my Steam Deck, because I'm going to sell my Steam Deck.
Sacrilege. It's fine. It's
To
for
me,
another podcast.
it was the rightful Game of the Year winner. I forget what year it came out. But I don't need to dive into all the reasons why it's great. You can easily look into that if you're interested. For me, it made it so high because it was everyone. I think each of us probably has an indie game that they put a stupid amount of time in that just felt like so natural to have on something you could plug in the TV and just grab and go.
Yeah, agreed.
And for me, Hades was that game. That was that like perfect formula, pick up and play game.
Damn, that was
Also, the
2020
Binding of
that
Isaac,
came out.
but I've owned that on like 14 consoles, so I decided to leave it off.
I'm sorry, which one was that?
Binding of Isaac, which
Oh.
I've owned dating back to, I think I had it on PS Vita at a point.
If the game came out before the Switch came out, then it doesn't really be on this list. Hades came out when
I
the
agree.
Switch was
Yeah,
out.
there were a couple
it was
games.
just a beautiful match for Hades.
There's a couple games I really enjoyed on Switch that I didn't put on the list for that reason. Because it's like I'm just listing good games that were on it rather than games that like I feel are more associated with the console. Hades didn't make my list, but I had a similar experience to the two of you. I also really enjoyed it. I'm historically not a big fan of roguelikes, but Hades it's great. It's good enough that I didn't care.
Watched a lot of speedruns of it. Love Good Riddance. I did not get to play it and have not played it yet, but like it's definitely.
Oh, it's like you can get it for like $20. Okay. Well, we'll talk. We'll discuss. We'll discuss.
Ken's about to be like, all right, listen, I sent you this Nintendo Switch eShop card, but I have a stipulation about which games you purchase.
It wouldn't be the first time I did that either. Like I remember, like 2 years ago, my friend, I really wanted to play.
What I say about handbrakes? Save it for next week. Number 9, Pokemon Sword and Shield.
Hey, there we go. There we go. So,
No, I enjoyed it a lot. I'm gonna stay out of this one just because I'm the Pokemon cynic. I enjoyed it a lot. I thought it was a good entry. I'm disappointed with where Game Freak's at in general at a high level with this series, but I'll let the experts speak to what they enjoyed about this one.
I liked Sword and Shield way more than Scarlet and Violet.
Agree.
I know that Scarlet and Violet technically has more content, but like, what's the fucking point if it doesn't look good? And like, I don't know why, but like, nothing compelled me in those games as much as Sword and Shield did. I loved the generation. I loved Gigantamax. I loved, you know, they were obviously microdosing the whole like open world thing by doing the wild area, but that was enough for me. And I loved like the camping mechanic, the curry. I just thought that like everything was so well done for like the region they were paying tribute to. The gym leader is so much more memorable. The battles are more memorable to me. And I, you know, went back to it a lot even after I beat the game. I really enjoyed the DLC, whereas like Scarlet and Violet, I just like I did what I needed to do and I got out of there.
yeah, so like the way I say it when it comes to Pokemon games, at least with the main series ones, I kind of look at them as two separate games. You have the single player experience where you just like, you know, go through the game, collect the badges, maybe occasionally battle your friends, whatever, or trade with your friends. But then you got the VGC. You know what I mean? And once you start getting into competitive Pokemon, it's a whole nother ball game. I 100% agree with you where the single player mode of Sword and Shield was more enjoyable than Scarlet and Violet, especially because of all of the technical issues in that one. But
I think the pacing of that was also, just before you get onto the competitive, because I have thoughts on that too. I really like the pacing of Sword and Shield, like the way that it would like encourage you to like go through a section and then come back and like explore a different part of the wild area. Like I liked the way that it would funnel you through the map, and like I think it is like a very interesting artifact of being like the game that's straddling what the modern direction of Pokemon is, but it also still feels, I think, more in line with the classic formula, and I think it's the best game in that formula for my money in probably a 2 or 3 generation move in either direction. You know what I mean? Or no, not either direction, because in the newer way, it's newer games. That doesn't make sense. I like it better than Gen 6 or 5 is what I am trying to say.
Wait, you liked it more than Gen 5 was black and white, right?
Yeah,
I did love Gen 5.
I am
Gen
not.
5
I am not a Gen 5 guy.
I do not care to debate that stuff.
That's another day. That's another episode.
That's a whole separate episode, ranking the top Pokemon generations. Like, people will get hurt over that, and we can't get into that. We have 8 more games to get through.
It's going to be like 60 more handbrakes from Ken.
So, yeah, if we want to talk about competitive real quick, let's do that quickly, and then we can move on to the next one.
Yeah, long story short, Gigantamaxing, really not my favorite. From a single-player perspective, I enjoyed it. From a competitive perspective, I did not. Similar to Z-Moves, weren't a huge fan of that. But yeah, that's all I got in a nutshell. But it was a really, really good year. Wolf Glick popped off multiple years back to back. So, you know, my goat.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun playing competitive that generation, but I think I agree with you that I think Gigantamax is probably my least favorite gimmick in combat. Like, I think the visuals of it were, like, a lot of the Gigantamax designs were cool. Like, I really liked, like, the Butterfree and like, there was some, you know, some cool stuff to that. But yeah, I definitely, I feel like it didn't have as much of an impact on games as like Z-Moves or Megas or some of the other gimmicks that have just, I think, had a little bit more staying power in my mind. Even terrestrialization is like that's a more interesting metagame modifier than just like you're big and you have like 4 different moves for like 3 turns. It felt like kind of a half measure after megas were like so fucking fire.
Yeah,
But
I
I'll take-
absolutely concede that. Like terrestrialization, I fucking hate the design. I fucking hate it.
Yeah.
But it's so much more interesting than Gigantamaxing.
It just opens up so many interesting strategies, being able to just be like, oh, this Pokemon's garbage, but you can change their type and now they're good. It's like, oh, okay, like I do dig that more, even though I'm with you that it's the dumbest looking one for sure.
Yeah. The best ones make evolutions, and we'll keep it pushing.
Yeah, number 8, Metroid Dread.
Ooh.
Really stoked to see this one make it. This was my game of the year it came out. It was, I think, like a fucking S tier game to launch the OLED Switch on. Like, it was so gorgeous, and the way it took advantage of like those true blacks and everything was just like out of bounds. And like, I'm not a Metroid guy. I've never been a Metroidvania guy. I've tried multiple Metroids or Metroid style games over the years, and I've just like never connected with them. But I fucking loved Dread so much that it made me like Metroidvanias. I think Dread is one of the best games on Switch by a lot, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know if I have anything to add to that.
I never got to play it, but I love to watching streams and speedruns of it. It is a gorgeous game, and like the boss battles were really cool.
Oh my god!
I just had the
those.
same experience as you, Pete. Like for me, it was not a game I was expecting to love as much as I did, because I'm not traditionally a Metroid fan. But came out, reviews were great. It was cool to see, like, kind of a more not gruesome, but a more like horror-y mainline Metroid entry. So picked it up and it blew me away. I didn't even play it on OLED, but to your point, it feels like even the art style of that game was like made to launch with an OLED screen. It was just an absolute home run in every single measurable category.
I really hope Nintendo makes a good faith effort to acquire Mercury Storm. I really would love to see them make one of these every couple years. I think they just like they get it, and like it was so sick to see Nintendo be like, we're putting out a $60 2D Metroidvania game, and for that to not be at all something that people were like, whoa, too much. Like, because once you played it, you're like, yeah, I mean.
You're like, I get it.
Yeah, they had it.
You're like, I owe you $20 more. My mistake.
Easy peasy. There, Jack is again advocating for $80 games.
Oh, he's back at it.
All right, number 7, new Pokemon Snap.
Ooh,
Yo.
wow! I'm surprised it made it this high. I put it on my list.
Crazy
But
that made it over Sword and Shield.
So stoked to see that it's so high.
So
oh
high.
my god!
It's
It was
awesome.
high on mine, man. Yeah.
All of us had it on our list. Like, it's one of the few games that are not that there were none that all 4 of us had, but it was one of the games that all 4 of us had that I was like, hell yeah. Like, truly a panel of culture.
Yeah, I've been playing it again. Started going back like a month ago. I love it.
It's so fucking beautiful. It makes me upset. Like, it makes me upset that that's not what regular Pokemon games look like.
Yeah.
I know I don't know why they don't just get Bandai Namco on board for the mainline games, but who am I? Just some Joe Schmo who does not work in gaming development.
I would love to see them partner with a studio like that to do be like, hey, develop the Pokemon, develop the do the system, like do all the stuff that you guys do well, and have somebody that's able to make better open world games with better animations. But yeah, the
Pete,
animations in this game are
$20. They can't do that.
Listen, I'd pay for it.
Yeah, it made it so high on my list because Pokemon Snap, like, I'm guessing since it made it so high, we all have like fond childhood memories of Pokemon Snap.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah,
It's a dated game, and even like looking back, I'm not sure it was a great game like when it came out. So my expectations for the sequel, I was very cautious, just because it's an oddball game that wasn't like the pinnacle of technical excellence, even in its heyday. So I didn't really know what to expect from the sequel, and like I couldn't have asked for more from a Pokemon Snap game or sequel. Like I just didn't know I needed one.
Yeah.
It was.
And the additional game content, that was all free, right? You just needed to download it. Go to like there's so much to do. Like I never even 100% it. I completed the story, but there's still so much to go back in and discover. All the like unlockable moments and alternate paths and like shots that you can't even get until you like max out the levels of every single track.
It's as deep as Pokemon Snap felt as a kid.
Yes.
And like that was a very magical feeling. Everything you like tried as a kid, like I wonder if this does something. It does. It's incredible.
Yeah. I think like it was one of those titles too that like for so long I remember being like, how have they not gone back to that? Like especially when like the Wii U came out and stuff, it's like, go back to that well. Let me sit in a chair with the pad and turn and like feel like I'm sitting in the thing on the rails. Like it just felt like we've only at this point multiplied the number of Pokemon by nearly 10 since Pokemon Snap. And it's like, how has nobody been like, yeah, let's try another one of those, right? It just felt like such a no-brainer. And it was so nice to see them do it after so long and have it just be like, yeah, just such a slam dunk. Like I wouldn't change a thing about it.
Yeah. Like if not getting it on the Wii U meant that we got the game as we like got to play it, then fine.
Yeah.
But I always felt like, oh, such a missed opportunity that they didn't do it on the Wii U, but it was worth the wait.
But you know what? Doing this with Pokemon Snap on the Wii U would have gotten real tiring. It sounds good for like the first
heavy ass
30
pad.
minutes. But yeah, would have been too much. But I digress.
Pre-tricep workout.
Well, I will be furious if there's a higher Pokemon game on this list than new Pokemon Snap.
I hate to burst your bubble, Jack, but number 6 is the correct item to have net number 1. Pokemon Legends Arceus. Let's go, baby.
I'm quitting this show.
Let's go,
There
baby.
we go. The best Pokemon game for the Switch.
Yes.
No cap.
Hard agree.
Yes.
I fuck with this game so hard. And I am like filled with a tremendous amount of anxiety that I will not like Pokemon Legends ZA as much because of how much I dug this game. Because I feel like, don't get me wrong, it has plenty of problems, right? It's not like a very pretty game. It doesn't have the level of like polish or like just aesthetic that I think you expect from the best open world games on Switch, like your Breath of the Wilds and Xenoblades and things like that. But the way that they were willing to, like, for the first time since like the GameCube, when they did, they had a different developer make Gale of Darkness and those games, like, actually meaningfully changed the formula. And obviously there's like the more obvious, I said obvious twice in that sentence. Apologies. There's the more observable way in which that they changed up the formula by like leaning into the like, the point of the game is catching a certain amount of a Pokemon, catching it in a certain size, filling out the decks. Like, I think that is a meaningful change that I think like really changes the gameplay loop in such a big way, because it's so not about battling. Battling is more of a means to an end than it is the main thrust of the experience. Which, I mean, as somebody that loves battling, you'd think I wouldn't like that, but I think that it is really like a super welcome spinoff. And I think the ways that they did make changes to the battle system were also like things that they've never really experimented with. Like, they changed the way that stats break down. They changed the way that some of the moves worked in a way that like they haven't ever before. And I was very, very encouraged for the first time since, I don't know, Pokemon went 3D, that it was like, oh, they're actually trying something new. And I don't know whether or not that is going to carry through to ZA the way I would hope, but I think if this is the only game that ever makes me feel this way, it's still makes it a really special Pokemon game, and one that like I would argue is the best one on Switch. I would argue it's one of the best overall for my money because it offers such a unique and I would say captivating experience.
Yeah, and like the big thing is with this game, because they make the conscious choice not to have multiplayer in the game, aside from trading, right? And that's what allowed them to take relatively big swings when it came to just like the turn-based battles in general. Like they took away Pokemon abilities to quote unquote simplify it, and they also I think got rid of held items as well.
Yeah.
But they did add like I think what they called it the strong style and the agile style attacks,
Yeah.
where you can like move slower to do a more powerful hit or move quicker to maybe go twice in a row, and that added just like an extra layer on top of being able to do things with the different boss battles, being able to get attacked by Pokemon, and if you're not careful, getting killed in the overworld. It just it was so fresh, so fresh. And I know they are changing things for the next game, right? But the things that they're changing are also things that move the franchise forward in a way if you weren't chained to the past. To a certain degree, they have to be chained to the past in order for the competitive scene to keep going the way it has been. And it's been growing at an exponential rate the last few years. Like, now's the time to be a VGC fan. You know what I mean?
Don't forget that. I mean, like, the Yumi and Sierra watched the reveal of like Masters, where it's like, I mean, I think there's every chance that like they might, there might be a world where competitive Pokemon just becomes its own thing.
Yeah. And if we get more games like this as a result of that, sold, no problem. But we shall see. We shall see.
Yeah. I was so glad that like not a lot of the game was spoiled for me as I was like playing along, because if you told me that there was like a Dark Souls ass boss battle like at the end of the game against God, like I never would have expected that from a Pokemon game. I'm definitely like also trepidatious about ZA and like what risks they are taking there. I really thought that like Legends like would be the vehicle for exploring old Pokemon lore.
Yes.
Not that they're not doing that with the ZA. It's kind of, I see ZA as like, oh, like what if Pokemon Z actually happened? And like that's what that feels like to me right now. But like that's what I loved about Legends Arceus is like they've already woven so much intricate lore throughout every generation, and like I loved going back and like piecing together the history of Sinnoh. I hope ZA is just as satisfying, but like that gameplay loop, y'all, like
yeah, I was so locked in.
Yeah, and I'm really hoping ZA will be just as satisfying. The introduction of like the attacks on like cooldown. It reminds me of Xenoblade. So like I'm like really interested to see how that feels in real time.
Cautiously optimistic. I really I want to like it. I'm not trying to be a hater. It's just I really dug Arceus, and I'm with you that like it was cool to see a totally different era of the universe, right? At a time where like Pokemon are not as ubiquitous, and there was just so much that was different and fresh about it, aside from even just the way that it played. But we'll see. We'll know soon enough. Number 5, shocking to say, Breath of the Wild.
Wow.
Interesting one. Yeah. We talked about this one a little bit earlier, so I don't think we need to like put too fine a point on it, but yeah, I mean, Breath of the Wild, I think for me is, this was my number 1. I think this is the most memorable experience on Nintendo Switch for me overall. I think when I look back on the console, thinking about launch and thinking about that first year of playing and then getting into the DLC and stuff later on and all that stuff, like it's, so many of my formative memories of Nintendo Switch are me playing Breath of the Wild on it, me going out and being like, I'm taking my Nintendo Switch with me everywhere so that every time I have 5 minutes, I'm going to jump in a shrine and complete something. And like I have vivid memories of like, I would go to like the movie theater early and just sit there and be like, I'm just going to play Breath of the Wild, wait for my friends to get here, or like I'm DJing my friend's parents' anniversary party, and between requests for Frank Sinatra songs, I'm beating one of the one of the beasts. You know, it's like I just it's such a time and place game for me, and I think it's arguably one of the best games of all time. You know, so yeah, it's a special one.
Yeah, I think it was number 2 on mine, and it was more like a 1B, and like for similar reasons. It was time and place, but also like it was the launch game for the Switch. And they just came out of the gate with this like unconventional console idea with one of the greatest games of the past decade. It was just so unexpected and like blew me away. The more you play it, like the first time you're playing it, it just continues to blow you away further and further until it ends and you develop a deep sense of depression that hasn't gone away 8 years later. Still there. Still
it briefly
persistent
subsided
grumbling
for
pit
me
in my stomach.
while I played Tears of the Kingdom, and then I got right back to that empty hollow place.
Yeah, but I'm curious to hear why it was a little bit lower on your guys' list. Just because, like, I think it's very commonly recognized as like, what were your experiences with it?
So here's the thing, right? I'm not a huge Zelda person. Played Ocarina of Time as a kid, never beat it. Played Majora's Mask, like that more. I've never beaten a Zelda game. It's just like not. It's a franchise. Whenever they come out with a new game, I'm excited to play it, but I'm never so excited.
You're always
that
like,
it
this will be
bumps
the
my life.
one. Surely, this is the one I'll get in on.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I agree with all of this, but like Breath of the Wild changed all of that.
Yeah,
for
and
me.
that's the thing. I will say
Well,
this:
I love
I
it.
put more time into Breath of the Wild than I did any other Zelda game. I say that with confidence, right? It is probably, aside from like maybe Majora's Mask, my favorite Zelda game, right? It's just that I'm not a huge Zelda guy, and like there are exceptions, and this is a very, very, very strong exception. I would say I have fonder memories of Odyssey at launch than Zelda, but the fact that I put so much time in Zelda at all speaks volume to the quality of the game. But that's just a me thing. I will say I like the different like temples with one-off puzzles, or what they call them,
The shrines.
shrines. Thank you. I do like that more so than the 8 or so big dungeons of the previous Zelda games. I think that made it real easy for me. Like, oh, just one more shrine, and it kind of ticked that little thing that made my brain go woo. But
Yeah, dude.
I thoroughly liked it. Loved it even. I just have a closer connection to like Pokemon or Mario or some of the other games on the
Yeah, I
list.
feel you.
Yeah.
So that's just a me thing. If
What about
I'm-
you,
we're
Sierra?
being- yeah.
I ranked my list is all ranked in relative to my level of enjoyment. So hilarious.
I asked for.
But Breath of the Wild was 18 on mine because there was just so many other like indies or like RPGs or like rhythm games that I just sunk so many more hours into. But Breath of the Wild is very significant to me because it was my first action adventure game. I had famously have only done turn-based entire fucking life. I just had a weird anxiety about playing action adventure games, but Breath of the Wild especially because it was my first. And like once I got into the groove of things, I was like, yeah, I don't know what I was so fucking worried about.
It was so much fun watching you like dipping in on your streams as you were playing through it, because it's just like, because it was like such a new experience for you, it was just like, what a perfect game to do this for the first time. And
Yes,
to just have that
I'm glad it
aha
was my
moment,
first.
over and over and over again.
Yeah, there was. I still struggle with a lot. I also did not beat the game because I got to a point where I needed to kill guardians to level up my weapons. You don't have to do this, but it just would have made me feel so much better about going to Ganon and finishing the game. But I could not parry to save my life. So that's where my save file is left off. But I sunk a lot of hours. Like it had to be like 80 plus. I really enjoyed it.
It's so funny. I did the exact same thing where I was like farming because I wanted to like upgrade the guardian armor, and I was doing the thing where I was like, I kept reloading the map because I wasn't getting the core that I needed, and there was like this one point where I was like, you know what? Fuck it. And like I was like, I'm just gonna go and fight him, and we'll see what fucking happens. And I beat his ass into the
Nice.
dirt, and I was like, oh, I guess I didn't need the armor. Game's over.
You know, when you watch speedruns of people beating him with like a stick and like a fucking wood panel, I'm like,
Yeah.
why am I even trying?
A lot of broken switches though at the hands of those Guardian laser beam attacks.
Oh my god, yeah.
Pour one out for all the people that didn't survive Breath of the Wild. I came very close to hurling my Switch out the window through my first like 3 hours of trying to learn that timing.
I'm so bad at parrying. I'm dodging, fine. Parrying, I'm so bad at it.
Yeah, it's
All
a
right.
weird feeling to be like genuinely, truly mad at a robot within a robot.
But I was.
That game taught me true hatred during those
Right.
first Guardian encounters. So
Yeah.
I feel ya.
All right, gang. We're getting to our final 4 here.
Ooh.
Number 4, a game I was just utterly, utterly pleased to see make it this high with 69 points. Nice. Fire Emblem 3 Houses.
Let's go.
Let's go.
I thought you were
my
going to surprise me and say it was ARMS.
Arms, everybody. Let's go. We did it.
Arm's #1 Switch game.
I fuck with this game so heavy, and it is
So
like
heavy.
very much the same trajectory that I had with Metroid Dread, only I had never tried a Fire Emblem. Like, I always thought I would like Fire Emblem. I love turn-based games. I love strategy RPGs. And yeah, like all of my friends that were JRPG dorks or Nintendo dorks were like, you would love Fire Emblem. Why have you not played Fire Emblem? Just never took the plunge. And I bought 3 Houses, like kind of for whatever reason, expecting that I was going to bounce off of it and that it would be a game I would sink like 20 or 40 hours into and be like, this was really fun, and then not finish it. It's like what I did with Xenoblade 3. But within the first literally 45 minutes of playing, I was like, this is captivating. I love this game. I love these characters. I love this world. I love the gameplay loop of being in Garreg Mach and leveling up and teaching classes and going through all that stuff, and then like going out and doing your next combat encounter. Like, it's such a perfect formula, and the fact that like it's not an infinitely replayable game, but it is a game that you can like meaningfully play through 4 times and have a completely different experience and like a totally different set of characters, a totally different arc of basically the entire story. It's just the first chapter that's the same. Is just nuts. Like, they didn't have to go that hard. It was already great. If there was just one of those stories, it would have been one of the best, most memorable games on the Switch, and I'd still say it deserved to be this high. And instead, it's basically 4 games that are that good. That's fucking crazy. It's a fucking crazy game, and I love it so much.
No, Nintendo put their thumb in that one. Like, listen, I personally put this at number 2 on my, top 25 Switch
3
games
for me.
list. One of my favorite games of all time, like, just like Hades, top 10 games of all time for me. I'm huge into RPGs. Persona 5 is a game that I just absolutely adore. I love games where you build relationships with people and then you get attributes, and then that what you do in the story social aspect of things has an impact on the actual gameplay and the fighting mechanics. And the did you play on permadeath or no?
Oh, yeah, I did.
Yeah,
That's-
then like
yeah.
the extra stress of permadeath. And
I
like
didn't
you
let
said, technically,
anybody die, though.
you smash that reset button. But no, that game had the rewind feature,
yeah.
which was kind of cool. So like that gave you like a little bit of a crutch. But like if I let my character die, I let them die, and that just made the weight of everything just feel raw.
Totally.
And it just was just such a perfect package of story and music and gameplay, and very few games have done it that well, let alone 4 times in one game. I only got around to beating it once, and I got halfway through, and I was like, okay, I've been playing this game for 150 hours. I got to do something else.
I've also
But-
only beat it once, and I think about going back to it at least once a year.
Yeah, like that might be the move. Maybe I go back to it, and I'm just like, okay, this time I'm going to go with the,
Maybe on Switch
Edelgard
too.
route.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I feel like Switch 2 is going to be a good opportunity to do this for a lot of games that have been on my mind since I played them, but just haven't had a good reason to go and revisit them. And Three Houses is probably at the top of that list for me. And Ken, I feel like minus the character death, like all the things you were saying you love about it, we could swap in your Hades audio and it would line up like almost 1-to-1. So I would say if you loved Hades and missed Three Houses or like didn't think you're interested in it, give it a shot, and vice versa. Because I think it's a perfect gameplay loop, and I think the skeleton between those two games share a lot in common, more than it might seem on paper.
Yeah, the only difference is one's like turn-based combat, the other one is
right. Yeah, some obvious, very big genre differences, but I think a lot of what I loved about Hades and Three Houses shares a lot in common.
Yeah, man, it's such a good game.
Was,
I have so many fond memories of that game.
Like, truly could not put it down kind of game.
Man, and like even just like how much control you have with like I have multiple friends that did Golden Deer as their run, and we still all had different outcomes, and that's so sick. It's so good. Everyone should play that game.
Golden Deer.
That's right. It's the best one. It's the only one where you're not led by a insane person. It's like my boy Claude, bisexual icon with his earring, and he's just like, what if we were all reasonable during conflicts? And I'm like, yeah, it's my guy. Speaking of my guy, number 3, Mario Odyssey.
Ooh,
very cool to see this one make it this high. I feel like this game is weirdly under talked about in the pantheon of great Switch titles because of how much we talk about Breath of the Wild, right? But Odyssey is awesome, and I love 3D Mario, and it had been so long since we had one that it was just such a joyous, like truly joyous experience to be like at the end of the Switch's first year being like, I love this console. I was so, in a negative place about Nintendo's prospects and not feeling like they had a future as a hardware developer, and then seeing them just like, 1-2 punch me with Breath of the Wild and Odyssey was just like, man, like when Nintendo's hungry, they really make magic, and Odyssey is just such a magical game.
Like, talk about a 1-2 launch, like, punch, not for nothing. Like, Zelda and Odyssey, because they were both day one games, right?
No, Odyssey came in the, like,
fall, right?
fall, yeah.
Yeah.
Really? Okay, maybe I'm getting my memories mixed up. Let's see.
It was,
Odyssey, it came out in the fall, October.
October, okay. I was going to say, I thought it was September, but yeah. Yeah, no, that was like, it was like, okay, we've already had like, they didn't need to put out another game. They already had it in the bag. And like, I remember that Game of the Year conversation being like, which Nintendo game is going to win? Which, it was insane, right? Like, they hadn't had a Game of the Year contender in how long at that point, right? Let alone 2. And they're 2 most iconic franchises,
Well, 3 counting ARMS.
You're right. It's true. The intellectual's opinion.
But, I would say this, even though, like, I guess my memory's kind of hazy post-pandemic, but I digress. Even though it came out a couple of months after the launch of the Switch, it still came out year 1 for the Switch. And when I think about my earliest Switch memories when everything was just still so fresh, I think of Odyssey, I put so much time into Odyssey. You remember the dragon fight?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely iconic. They put a Dark Souls dragon in that thing just for the giggles, and I love that.
I loved the moon stuff. That post game was like, damn, this is punishing.
And it was just like, in my opinion, one of the best, like, 3D Mario games ever. Like, I put it up there with Galaxy and 64 as like the holy trinity of Mario 3D games. At least in like that more you can run around and jump and do whatever you want kind of way.
Sure.
Not just a world kind of way. And it was just so good. It was just so good. And if the rumors are true, but that team is behind the new Donkey Kong game, we might have like, another banger on our hands. I don't know. I'm feeling some similarities, but I'm cautiously optimistic. But I don't want to get too off topic. I gotta focus. We're at the final 2 here.
Yeah. Any closing thoughts on Odyssey before we move on?
Yeah, I mean, I loved it. I feel like we kind of touched on it before. To me, it wasn't the most cohesive Mario game, visually, thematically, but I was okay with the trade-off of we can do whatever we want because we're not pigeonholed in this like it's got to be a cosmic theme or it's got to fit into this like tropical vacation setting.
Yeah.
They just prioritize like creativity and let's make it as fun as possible. And I think they're like continuing in that direction. I feel like it's the same train of thought that gave us Wonder.
Totally.
Yeah, and I'm very excited to see them hopefully push more in that direction.
I think for me, the cohesion of Odyssey felt a little more together because you have like Cappy as a through line, whereas like Wonder is like so, like even what you're doing, it like and how you're interacting with the level is so different every time that like I think I liked the Odyssey approach to it a little bit better, but yeah, point heard for sure that like I think both of them have that like let's swing for the fences like approach and just be like it's the whole kitchen sink, man, like. Whatever's the craziest idea makes it.
Just to confirm, you're saying the alien talking hat is what ties it all together.
That's right. Right.
That's what makes sense of the whole situation.
Yeah. Who gives every creature he interacts with an existential crisis when he steals their
cool.
body.
Cool.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Number 2, Super Smash Brothers Ultimate.
Wow.
I wanted this to be number 1 so bad.
I wonder what number 1 is. Oh my god.
Yeah, like, what is number? What could beat Smash? Like,
it's in the right place. I'll say that.
It's in the right place. Okay.
Ultimate's perfect. You know, we've done entire episodes about how I don't know where you go from here with Smash.
Yeah.
I think it's Sakurai's magnum opus. And I think it is like it's everything. It's the realization of everything Smash Brothers had been up until that point. And it's a perfect forever game. I love that game. I think that you will be hard pressed to make a better Smash game than that ever.
You literally cannot make something better. You just have to make something different. The only way they can do better is to do Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Deluxe, and they just add more on top. Which, not for nothing, I wouldn't be mad. If that's the only way they can get all the characters back one last time, I'd be cool with it. But, you know, Sakurai has been working hard on Kirby Air Riders, but I digress. The big thing with Smash, right? Sakurai has always said that Smash is it's a celebration of gaming. That's why you'll never see Goku as a playable character in Smash. And I believe it was Iwata challenged Sakurai right before he passed to include all the previous characters from the previous Smash games. And he took that personal. He said, like, this was the final mission given to me, and I feel like I accomplished that mission. And, like, that is such just, like, a full circle moment right there. And that just also makes the game on, like, a core fundamental level something very unique, very special. Like, yeah, it has some minor flaws here and there, but it is the ultimate celebration of gaming. And obviously, as time goes on, new franchises will come out, new characters will come out, and they'll not be able to be retroactively added to it. But as of like from the time the DLC ended going backwards, it is a celebration of everything we love. Like literally everything from all different walks. The only thing missing is Waluigi as a playable character. That's my only grip. Like that's
the invite.
Like that's the only character I'm like, how did he not make it in? Aside from that, and like maybe Master Chief or like a
save your wish lists. No more handbrakes.
No more handbrakes. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm fine moving on because it's a perfect game. There's nothing I can add other than that.
Sierra, I want to let you off the bench to talk a little bit about the adventure you went on this generation with getting into competitive.
Yes, because my entire life, I didn't give a fuck about Smash Bros. Beyond being a party game. I got on there, I picked Pikachu, and I button mashed. But when Isabelle was revealed for the game, I was like, oh, this has got to be something cool. I gotta actually try. And I started playing Smash semi-competitively. I started playing online a lot, which is something I'd never done before. I went to a local. I didn't compete in a regional, but I basically I made my foray for the first time into like the world of competitive Smash, and made a lot of great friends. All because the fucking secretary dog was in the game, and yeah, it's a special game to me. I think also, just besides my anecdotal experience, I really think it revitalized the competitive scene, because like when you think about like big events, big Smash events at this point, what are the big cornerstones but Melee and now Ultimate, and
Yeah.
the scene has died down quite a lot. It's died down quite a lot, but like so many hype moments have come out of Ultimate and the esports pros that have like picked up characters, picked up like DLC characters and done really cool shit with them, like because of the large variety of characters you can. It's so impressive to see what people can do with like B, even C tier characters, just by like exploiting like frame stuff and like really getting to the nitty gritty of like all these characters that the team designed, fully fleshed out. Yeah, I really do not know. I don't know how they're gonna top this. I don't know where they're gonna go from here. But if Ultimate is, there's no way Ultimate's the last Smash game, but like it does feel like a natural conclusion is something that I can't figure out. But yeah, I love it.
Yeah, it's also like an eternal competitive game, I feel like.
Yeah.
Melee, do you know how many characters Melee had? Like between 12 and 16, somewhere in that range?
Yeah, I
Like,
No
like
more than
20 something.
25,
think it's
right?
24 or something like that. Yeah,
Okay.
I'll look it up.
All right, we'll say 25. We'll round up. How many years later are players still discovering like new techniques and matchups in that game with 24 characters? With like, I know it's like it's a deeper, right, system in Melee, but with a cast of how many in Ultimate? Like, we are
89.
never gonna get to the true meta of that game, and that's really cool.
Yeah, there's 26 in Melee. So, yeah. Fucking wild.
Yeah. I mean, we know, like, you know, the top heavy part of the tier list, but I feel like that scene is going to continue to evolve for years to come.
Yeah, right? Probably decades. Also, I think I would love to just give special mention that I think that the Everyone Is Here Direct is like legitimately probably the hypest Nintendo Direct ever moment. That was so
easy,
fucking fire. And it was like, they did it and you were already like, cool, new Smash. And they're just like, by the way, every character. And then just started showing you motherfuckers. And it's like, oh my God, it just keeps happening. That was
when
crazy.
Snake showed up, and you're like, wait a second, and it's like everyone's
and
here.
then
They're
young
all back.
Link, and it's like, what? No, we're even getting weird, like, variant characters. It's like, yeah, there's going to be 4 Links in this game. Who gives a fuck?
Also Ridley, also Mega Man.
It's
Just
crazy.
kept going.
Yeah.
Literally. Yeah, and like every character that you ever like that there was ever rumors for, they're gonna be in it. It's like, yeah, right? We got Ridley and Sora. I remember during Melee speculation being like, wouldn't it be cool if, you know? Totally nuts.
Yeah, that was a beautiful farewell moment for E3, for sure.
Yeah.
Good note to end on.
Truly. Speaking of a good note to end on, number 1, Animal Crossing New Horizons. I think that's the correct choice. I really do. I love to see it at number 1. I think this is a point that Jack has made a few times on the show, that like I think it was like perhaps the most socially important video game ever. Right? Like the moment that it came out in was just like, you know, I think most people that are Nintendo people, and even a lot that aren't, right, were playing Animal Crossing, we're talking about Animal Crossing, we're engaging with Animal Crossing as a way to connect with others. And like, I remember that was like the most fun I've ever had streaming was when we used to do like Animal Crossing like every Thursday, and we would jump on and play for like 2 hours and just go to visit people's islands and trade items. And, you know, like it was just a really, really special time. And as somebody that like was already an Animal Crossing guy, like I've been an Animal Crossing fan since GameCube. I had been waiting for a new Animal Crossing for so long, and for it to come at like really just when I needed it, and to give me like that, you know, like security blanket to get through what was a really scary, trying time. Yeah, it's a game I'll always be extremely thankful for and have a lot of really, really like key memories with, even though, you know, it has things that I would change. There are things I hope they do differently for the next Animal Crossing, but for what it is and what I needed it to be, yeah, it was the game, man.
Yeah. To
Yeah,
piggyback
and
off you. Oh, sorry. No, Ken.
No, go ahead, Sierra.
oh no, you go. I'm sorry.
To piggyback off what you said, yeah, there's so many for every quality of life improvement they made, there were things that, as also a lifelong Animal Crossing player, I was like, why? Um I think the biggest hang up for me was coming off of New Leaf. That is like, that was a core Animal Crossing game for me. You lost out on a lot of the unique furniture sets in the new game that were just there and not paywalled in New Leaf. I think that was the biggest thing. I mean, that, the crux was that they had no plans to support this game beyond like late 2021. And I really think that could have, that game could have gone on to have a second wind if they had just planned even like another free update or like more unique events. Because if you go back to play now, it can be a little painful. And I've gone back to play pretty consistently just as, just to see what's there or try to get a glimpse of that same magic. I think that's my biggest like complaint with it. But like, God, is it such a beautiful game? And same like that was something I've been looking forward to for so long. And I do think that it was innovative enough as an Animal Crossing title to like, for me, warrant it as like my number one Switch game. And then also like, definitely one of my top Animal Crossing games. Yeah, it brought me together with my friends in ways like I had never like, experienced gaming with them before. And even now, like I have friends that are like playing it for the first time, like just picked it up like 6 months ago. So like now I like
that's crazy.
I go to the island, I dump
Wow.
like 1,000,000 bells on there to get a town center. Like a big spend, yeah. Money spread but with bells. And so like
Make it hell.
exactly. So yeah, I think like there's so many cool things about this game that do warrant it like the number one spot on the list, in my opinion.
Yeah, I definitely agree about kind of like the double-edged tragicness of Nintendo clearly having no they just didn't expect it to be what it was, which fine, but why wouldn't you pivot when you saw what it became?
Yeah, it's
Even
crazy.
if it took you 12 months, like a whole year you weren't expecting to plan, why would you not seize what you had? But at the same time, that game changed the entire world at once. Like it changed the whole globe's social behavior, attitude about video games, their mood at the same time. And there's one game on this list that can say that. So I think it's rightfully at the top. I'm not sure we're ever personally going to see something like that again.
I also think,
just in terms of impact,
I think when you talk about like the Nintendo Switch as a success story, like as much as we give credit to Breath of the Wild for being like what a insane note to start on, and like obviously that made people run out and grab it and want to be part of that moment. Animal Crossing did that same thing halfway through the life cycle in a huge way. Like that is the next big uptick in Switch sales, is that period where it was like they couldn't keep it on shelves, and it's because everybody was buying. Like I know so many people that were not gamers and bought a Nintendo Switch and bought Animal Crossing and then started playing video games and are still playing video games even if they don't play Animal Crossing anymore. It was such a moment, and the way that it evangelized that console to more casual players or to totally first-time gamers was just like such a cool thing to see.
And it was also just like due to the timing of it all. Like the world shut down, the future is unknown, people are without jobs, this and that. It was nice to have something that was like a pure moment, a pure light, a way to go outside when we couldn't go outside. And it was, under very unfortunate circumstances that the game came out during that time, but it was exactly the game that we needed.
Yeah.
So I think that's why, despite its flaws, like if it weren't for the pandemic, I don't think Animal Crossing would be number one on this list. Let's just keep it a buck, right? I don't know. I don't.
I don't know.
I mean, it was my number one, and I'd probably agree with that. I'd probably put Breath of the Wild like.
It was my number
slightly above
2,
it,
so fair enough. But
yeah. I mean, it definitely went into my ranking, is what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, no, it would have definitely
Yeah.
made the top 10 easy. But I say that to say that sometimes, like, you know, you catch lightning in a bottle. You have like a
for sure.
9 to 10 out of 10 game coming out at a 2 out of 10 time. That's a 10 out of 10 for that particular game. Like there are people doing full blown like. What is it? Video interviews in Animal Crossing because they couldn't do it
Yeah.
in person.
Yeah,
Like,
Gary
like
Whitta
T-Pain
did.
that's wild.
podcast, or you went on T-Pain went on an Animal Crossing
Yeah,
podcast.
Animal
And
Talking.
they set up like a studio in somebody's Animal Crossing home. It was so cute.
I'm just
like-
I'm obsessed with you rating the coronavirus pandemic a 2 out of 10. That's awesome.
A 2 out of 10 time.
It's not just 0. There's a 2.
Well,
Yeah.
'cause, like,
no. There's the bubonic plague.
There was some
you know what I
upside.
mean?
yeah, but I think it is funny too though, because it's like you, and this is my handbrake now for the episode. But like I remember people joking about that of like I miss the we're all staying home playing Animal Crossing and watching Tiger King part of the pandemic, and not the it's like there was like a period where you're like this is scary, but it's also like summer vacation for a second.
Oh
and
God, yeah.
it'll be
We're
over
ready
in-
to stay home. Yeah.
It'll be over in a couple months, right? No, little did we know. That's where the 2 comes from. It was all Animal Crossing.
Yeah, it was like when it was like 3 weeks to stop the curve. It's like I could deal with this for a couple of weeks. It's when it kept going that it got kind of bad.
I loved it. I could have done that. Not the
Sarah's
rest of
like,
my
don't
life,
ever
but-
make me go outside again. What if we do all of our interactions through Animal Crossing?
Ooh.
Ooh, like maybe that's an anniversary episode. We just do the podcast through Animal Crossing.
I'm
Just,
so
like,
down. I'm so
Hijack
down.
animal talking's idea. Just straight up steal it.
Just set up
No one
a
else is doing it.
I think I have a
Right now.
podcast studio at my Animal Crossing house. That'll be perfect.
There you go.
There we go. On that note, folks, hell of a list. 15. I'm pleased with it. I think we got some great games on this list. You kidding me?
Hell of a
So
console.
Great console. Perfect console, I'd say. So we'll go through the list one more time, and then we'll say our goodbyes. Number 15, Octopath Traveler. Number 14, Tetris 99. Number 13, Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. Number 12, Tears of the Kingdom. Number 11, Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Number 10, Hades. Number 9, Pokemon Sword and Shield. Number 8, Metroid Dread. Number 7, New Pokemon Snap. Number 6, Pokemon Legends Arceus. Number 5, Breath of the Wild. Number 4, Fire Emblem 3 Houses. Number 3, Super Mario Odyssey. Number 2, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. And number 1, Animal Crossing New Horizons. Hey, hell of a library. Hell of a couple years. Thanks, Nintendo Switch. I am looking forward to seeing what comes next. So, we'll see, right? We hope for the best. Anyway, folks, thank you for joining us here on another episode of Nintendo Noise. Remember, if you want to get involved and tell us what you thought about this week's show, if you want to give us your top 15 Nintendo Switch games, I would love to see them in the comments down below. Or you can head over to flipscreen.games. That's our website where you can drop us a line and get in touch all the ways you can. Discord, email, however you choose to do so. I hope you'll write in with your top 15 Nintendo Switch games and your thoughts or what your plans are for Nintendo Switch 2's release, because when we get together next week, that's what we're going to be talking about, folks. I want to hear your questions, your impressions, all that good stuff. Make sure you write in and share your thoughts. And, of course, let me extend a very special thank you to our Patreon producers for the month of May. For the last time, they are Arnold J. Rimmer, Christopher Valens, Gabriel Hasselmeyer, a.k.a. Sobe, Project Julian, Steve Stompy, Susan Likes Cats and also Boobies, That One Kid Nick, Ty the Dude, Voodoo Vic, and Wakahula. Thank you all so much for your support over on patreon.com/flipscreengames. You all the reals to the real, and we greatly appreciate your support of this and all of our sister shows. Remember, flipscreen.games, that's the website. However you want to get involved, that's where you go. Go over there and click on some stuff. It helps us out a lot more than it costs you. For the crew, I've been Pete. She's been Sierra. He's been Ken. He's been Waluigi. We'll see you next week!